part of Spring Brook Farm is the Farms for City Kids Foundation. It was set up to basically provide an outdoor classroom where urban youth are exploring not only their academics, but how those academics relate to farm activities. And we're really working on teaching them sustainability. We want to teach the kids why agriculture itself is important, where their food comes from, how their academic studies relate to food, to what's happening on the farm, to what's happening in the environment. We break them into smaller chore groups and teaching them hard work and perseverance and cooperation. Some of these kids, particularly the ones from New York, have never left maybe a 10 or 12 block radius of where they grow up. They've never seen a farm animal in real life. Some of them don't realize that carrots actually grow in the ground. And it seems really obvious to us, but it's not to these guys. So we put them to work in the cheese house. They flip and wash cheese. We need to keep the make room pretty sanitary. So they're not in the make room. We do have an observation window where they can watch the cheese make process. But they'll work in the aging room doing some affinage. We've got an apple orchard on the farm, so in the fall they'll harvest apples and make apple cider. We've got trees that they can tap and make syrup. In the spring, a greenhouse for veggies for the garden. Depending on the season that they're up there, they will prep the garden for planting, they'll weed the garden, they'll harvest veggies. All that produce goes into their meals while they're at the farm. They spend a lot of time scooping poo and cleaning stalls in the dairy barn, because nothing teaches hard work and perseverance like cleaning cow stalls. We will see about 700 to 800 kids a year, and the vast majority of them leave totally changed. We have 1,000 acres, mostly forested, mostly trees, but of that acreage that is not covered in trees, we dedicate 40 to making hay. And then we have an adjoining property that's 15 to 20 acres that we harvest for hay production, and then 20 acres that we dedicate to grazing our cows. This is the milk barn and the dairy barn. It's the apple orchard. Over here is a series of pastures, and you can kind of see these striations here, and that demarks the sections of paddock that the cows are turned out on. Something new that happened last year, mid-year, we transferred all of our milk into Tarante's production. So we currently milk about 45 jerseys at Spring Brook Farm. In order to do redding production, we needed to find an alternative source for milk if we were going to put all of ours into Tarante's. So last year, we began an arrangement with 2 partnering dairies. So we wanted to remove them as farmers, as dairy farmers, from the commodity milk market by paying them a steady price throughout the year. And we wanted to pay them a premium for producing milk to our rigorous standards. So we require that they feed no fermented feed at all. We ask that they don't use any chemical fertilizers on the field, so it's all natural fertilizer, mostly manure. We ask that the cows are on grass during pasture season, which in Vermont generally runs May through November. And then we also ask that they are feeding dry hay that's grown on the farm during fall and winter. This is a view out of the cheese house, so it's not bad when you're packing it off. Yeah, it's not a bad thing.